All right, here with more, a lawmaker who really played a very, very pivotal role, and we got to give him a lot of credit. He did a lot of work behind the scenes to bridge the gap that we were watching and witnessing all week, and that's Texas Congressman, the 21st District of Texas, Chip Roy. Chip, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Sean. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
All right, to the extent that you feel comfortable, I don't want you to reveal things that maybe you don't want us to know, but to the extent possible, we had this gap going on all week. I was kind of confident talking to people all week that it would eventually get done, but you really did a lot of the heavy lifting. What can you tell us about the process?
Well, first of all, the people who send us to Washington send us here to actually change it. That's not just a phrase for me to use, Sean. You know I believe it, and I take it very seriously. Nobody in America looks at Washington and doesn't see it as broken. But you can't change it if you don't change the rules and if you don't open this place up to do the work for the people again. So we can have everything we want in words and the commitment to America. We can talk about securing the border. We can talk about cutting spending. We can talk about standing with our men and women in uniform. But if we don't have the rules in place, if we don't constrain Leviathan, if we don't stop the big bloated spending and the appropriators, we can't actually do the things you guys sent us here to do. So this week was all about that. And we got a lot of really significant improvements. Opening up the rules again. You know, I haven't been able to offer an amendment on the floor of the House in open debate since 2016. I didn't come here till 2019. Think about that. Now, what that means is now, under these rules, we'll be able to go down to the floor and offer an amendment to cut spending. We can actually have a debate about it. We have accountability for the Speaker. We return to the Republican rules, the Thomas Jefferson rules, instead of the Nancy Pelosi rules. We were able to actually make sure that we put in budgetary constraints and say that we need to return our spending to 2022 levels so that we can limit spending and get on the path to a 10-year balanced budget. That was all a part of the agreement to make sure that we were going to be on board with electing the Speaker. So these were all important accountability tools to do what we said we would do. People are tired of words. They want us to commit to it. And now we're all united to get this done, I hope. We'll see tonight in the next couple hours. I hope we get there.
So we had 214 earlier today. Two congressmen, I believe, had to fly home, but they're flying back tonight. Is that correct? So we believe the real number is 216, correct?
Yeah, we think that's right, and we think we need to get a couple more to get to 218, and I think that's being worked on as we speak. And as you already reported, we expect that to happen, but, you know, I never take anything for granted, but hopefully we'll get there.
It is in Washington, D.C. Tell us behind the scenes, how contentious was this, or was there general agreement? I've been making the case that in terms of the agenda, everybody seems to agree. I would argue that all 222 of you agree on the commitments to America. I would argue you all agree on the investigations that I just mentioned. Am I wrong on that?
No, there's absolute unity in making sure we go after the Biden administration. Now, I will say, as part of our agreement, we got what we call a church-style committee, a select committee on the Judiciary Committee under Jim Jordan with the kind of budget and the kind of staffing. We said at least as much as the January 6th committee to go after the weaponization of government, the FBI, the intel agencies, DHS, all of them that have been, you know, labeling Scott Smith a domestic terrorist. So we got more resources, more specificity, more power to go after this recalcitrant Biden administration. That's really important. But here's the thing, Sean, we can do all the hearings we want in the world. But if we can't limit the spending that funds the bureaucrats and stop buying the FBI $400 million new headquarters that Mitch McConnell just funded, then we can't win the fight. You cannot win the fight for freedom if you don't stop the bureaucrats. That's what this entire fight this week was about.
Is that the same FBI that we now know met with all the big tech companies every week prior to the 2020 election, the same FBI that had Hunter Biden's laptop in December of 2019, the same FBI that paid Twitter $3.5 million? Is that the group of people you're talking about?
That's exactly the same FBI, the same FBI that labeled parents domestic terrorists. And look, the same DHS, for example, that refuses to secure the border, and Alejandro Mayorkas lying and calling our agents, you know, saying that they whipped Haitian migrants. That's absurd. But here's the question, Sean. Can we actually stop that with just hearings? No. You stop it by not giving them the money to continue to do it. You got to hold them accountable, limit their funds, and hold them accountable through the power of the purse. And that's what this fight was mostly about. And I think we got there with the powerful Rules Committee and making sure we've got conservatives represented on it and making sure we're doing the right thing for the American people through that process.
Congressman, I want the entire country to know that you played a pivotal role in bringing all sides together to make this possible. Now, maybe it happens tonight, maybe the latest on Monday, but you played a very big role in all of that, and I think he deserves a big hand. Not an easy lift. We really appreciate your hard work. Chip Roy, great to have you. Thank you, sir, for being with us.